So we finally just got a little bit of Noble Team in the Halo TV show. Okay, not really. Hi, I'm Will Forge. There's a lot of spoilers in this, so please don't go forward unless you have seen the episode. This in particular has spoilers that if you're planning on watching the episode, watch that first. The point is, from now on, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you didn't click off, you were warned. In this episode, they had multiple characters' deaths, and guess what? If you go and you look at them, you'll notice that Vanek, well, let's see, we'll start with the first one. Lewis died, that's the blind Spartan. Lewis died by an explosive. He had a grenade launcher, and he was blind, and he walked straight toward a Covenant Wraith with the grenade launcher, just launching at it until the Wraith exploded. Now, he couldn't see how close he was because he was blind. He could probably make out how far away the explosions were going off whenever they hit the thing. But in the end, he got killed in the same explosion that he caused with his grenade launcher. Sounds a lot like George, doesn't it? He didn't take out a whole Covenant, super carrier, but he took out a single Covenant Wraith that was threatening his allies. Shortly after that, we noticed that, I believe that Vanek dies next. By the way, if you notice that I'm a little bit lower energy this time, it is because I am sick. I may not look it. My wife is always telling me that I never look sick whenever I'm sick. So basically, yes, I am sick right now. You just can't really tell. Is it Vanek that dies next, or is it Keyes? I forget. I think they might have swapped them in order, so I'm going to go with Noble's deaths. Kat ends up dying in the original Halo series by a single needler round going straight through her head. And that's delivered to her by a Covenant, like a Sangheili, like elite warrior, right? And it happens to her in a very dramatic way. You can see these domino effects apply, like the glassing beam hits the planet, everyone gets blinded. She's the only one without a helmet on though, so she gets really heavily affected. She also, not having her helmet on means the shields weren't up on her armor, which means the radiation, the electromagnetic pulse, hit her armor with it unshielded. So then whenever they go to the elevators, her eyes are like dazed. She goes to hit the button on the thing and she misses because she's a little blinded. And then she hits it again. That means that now she is behind the other guys. The other elevator's going down faster, and hers is going down slower, yours and hers. Then she puts a helmet on, and she gets out of the door, and as she's running through the doorway, through the middle of that little corridor, because her shields are still down from the EMP hitting her armor, and because she's slightly blinded, and because she's been delayed, she's in just the right spot for that elite in the dropship to snipe her right through the head without any shields protecting her. And she goes down, and then the scene shows up through a hole in the ceiling. Now, think about Vanek. Vanek didn't have his armor on, just like her shields were down. Because of a certain sequence of events, he had no armor. So, that was the first, domino to fall. Then, he ends up in this close quarters combat with the elites, and it's like, the location he's at. He ends up on the ground. I'm gonna have to rewatch the episode because I really want to review that a little bit more. He might have gotten injured before this because he was a little bit sloppy with the needler whenever he starts shooting. I didn't really notice at all, but he might have gotten injured before that, or something to that effect. But he ended up on the ground looking up at the elite, pulling up a needler, trying to shoot at the elite. The elite manages to pull the needler out of himself before it explodes and stabs it into Vanek's chest. It explodes, kills him, like right in the heart, explodes, kills him. And then he ends up on the ground looking up through a hole in the ceiling, just like the hole in the ceiling that Kat got sniped through. And he's looking up at a bird as it flies around. He's probably dead at that point. I think his eyes are dead and glazed over. I don't think he's like his last breath or anything like that. But he's also posed, I noticed, just like Leonidas in, the 300. They said this was our Thermopylae, and then he goes down and he dies like Leonidas, which is pretty cool, in that pose, which of course was a Jesus, on the cross pose for Leonidas because he had sacrificed himself to save the rest of Sparta. It was a little nod to that back in 300. But anyway, the point is that's how Vanek goes down, that's how Kat goes down. And then Keyes is Carter. Keyes is in the ship, and he's not going to go down in the ship by ramming it. He's got civilians on board. But he does go outside and uses not just the fuel and mass to blow up a scarab, he goes outside and disconnects the fuel container and ends up blowing up all those jackals with the fuel of a ship, sacrificing himself in the process with his corncob pipe. Well, I think he was supposed to have lit it up, and that was, it was off screen. He goes to put the corncob pipe in his mouth, but and then it goes to another scene. I assume he pulled out a match after that and lit it. And that's what, blew the whole thing up in the first place. But yeah, his death is off screen. So is Carter's. You only see his ship hitting. So in a way, it's kind of similar as well. So yeah, we got a little bit of Noble Team in this, and because of these deaths, I don't think they're putting Noble Team in this series at all. If they do, they're going to introduce them as a different character group that will still be alive and be the Spartan 3s that they have, that they follow the storyline of. You know what I mean? Because, like, what I'm looking at here is Miranda Keyes is not present. Captain Keyes just died. Or Admiral Keyes just died early. So he's not going to be the one who becomes a Flood, right? But also, there's now no captain for the ship that's going to bring them to the Alpha Halo. So who is going to replace him? Well, Miranda got relocated, and she probably got promoted. She probably is now a captain. She's going to be the Captain Keyes that probably brings them there. This is just my prediction. My other predictions, all, like, none of them panned out really, so don't take this with a grain of salt. This is just my guess. I'm good at analyzing what actually happens and telling, you know, about, like, the writer's intent, things they were alluding to, references, but apparently I am not good at predicting what these writers are going to do practically at all, so always take my predictions with a grain of salt. But anyway, I mean, I got a few things right, and I probably get some of these will be right, but anyway, it's I think, less than 50%. The point is that Miranda Keyes might be the Captain Keyes on the Alpha Halo that gets succumbed to the Flood, because that was such a, you know, big moment. I can't imagine they would want to cut that. I mean, it is the captain being killed, and that's the reason why, you know, there is no captain to escape the Halo, and why Master Chief has to go get the transponder out of their head and all that kind of stuff. So in this case, it might be Miranda Keyes, but then you're thinking, oh, well, if Miranda Keyes dies there, who's going to die in Halo 3? Who is going to do that? Well, if you think about it, the Covenant doesn't need Miranda Keyes in Halo 3 anymore. It doesn't need Miranda Keyes or Sergeant Johnson, because they've got Mackie. If Mackie lives on and survives all the way to the Halo 3 events, I think that Truth is going to, or maybe Regret this time. Regret may actually end up being the one who does all the important stuff. Or sorry, Mercy, not Regret. Mercy might be, because he's the one who adopted Mackie. So maybe this will be the Mercy timeline in a way, as far as the Covenant is concerned. Who knows? But the point is that whenever they get to that moment, I am predicting that Mackie's going to be the one who's going to be the one they used to activate the rings, and maybe she already but maybe it's against her will at this point. I've already talked about my theories on Mackie. I think she's going to replace Zuka Zamami in Halo the Flood, which is the events of Halo 1. And then she is then going to proceed to be saved by Guilty Spark. This is all my predictions. She's going to be saved by Guilty Spark at the last second. And then she's going to go on to be the what do you call it? The Heretic Leader. And then by the time Halo 3 comes along, she'll still probably survive as a Heretic Leader, unlike the original Heretic Leader, and then Truth will take her and force her to be Miranda Keyes in that moment. That's my prediction, just my guess. It's probably not right, because like I said, all my other guesses were not right anyway. Like, that was clearly Halsey in that room. It still remains to be seen if she's a Flash clone or not. That was another part of my theory that, like, after talking to other people, I can't remember if they suggested it or I did. I think they thought I was saying it was a Flash clone, and they talked about it like I had said that before, but I was saying it wasn't a clone, it was Halsey's consciousness inside of Cortana. So the idea didn't originate from either of us, it originated from a misunderstanding between both of us. But anyway, yeah, so it could be that that's a clone of Halsey still, and they were just basically, they Flash cloned her while she was away, or maybe that was the one she left behind or something, because there was the one she left behind in season 1, but I think that one died. Its nose started bleeding. I think it was dying at that moment. But it could be a Flash clone of her that they were then interrogating to try and figure out where she is still. That could still be the case, but the longer it goes on, the less I think that might be the case. I think that Soren is actually talking to the real Halsey, and it would be weird if we then go to Halsey and Halsey doesn't remember these events, and, like, especially if Soren interacts with the real Halsey later. That just seems odd to me, so I don't think they're doing that anymore. But yeah, that was a prediction I had before. Technically, the other predictions I had are about future events of Quan Ha and Mackie, like I just described, so we'll see. But yeah, back on Captain Keyes, I wasn't really feeling his death. Like, as it led up to it, I kept on feeling like, okay, so he's pulling out the fuel, looks like he's gonna explode or whatever, he's gonna, like, sacrifice himself, because I saw the fuel leaking out into the room. I thought he was just leaking out of the room, he was gonna maybe dive back into the ship, and then the engines of the ship would ignite all of that fuel. I didn't really see why he had to go with, you know, the explosion, like go out with a bang. But in the process there, what I was thinking was the whole time was it feels like the Spartans are about to show up, and then as they didn't show up, it was like, okay. I think that scene might have been edited, like in the post, you know, edited into that orientation. I think that it was supposed to be Vanek goes down, Master Chief goes down, and you're supposed to see that, and then it cuts back to Captain Keyes sort of realizing it's too late, and then he sacrifices himself. And the reason I also think that that might be the case is because the way that we got it edited in the episode was out of order for Noble Team. You know, it's George, Kat, Carter, Emil, Noble 6, right? Did I skip someone? Right. No, I didn't. June doesn't die. So, yeah, basically, that's the original order, and we didn't get that order this time. We got it sort of mixed up. Carter went out before, you know, Kat did. Except in this case, it's not Carter and Kat, it was Keyes and Vanek. It was really, I think, alluded well to the fall of Reach in Halo Reach, the game. And like it kind of did get you that kind of feeling that you're gonna get these deaths. They were just significantly downplayed and reduced to a more, I guess, like grounded, less larger than life, you know, feel. Probably because they didn't have the budget to have them infiltrate a Covenant cruiser with all of the sets that would be involved with that and then blow it up, so they couldn't do anything like George, and then like they didn't probably have the budget to make a Scarab yet, if ever, so they couldn't have, you know, Carter go down by crashing the Pelican. Or Keyes. So basically it just, I think they just had to, they're forced to do this based on budget. I have nothing negative to say about Soren. His entire thing with Halsey have been perfectly positive, but I also don't have any like deep analysis to say about him because it was what you get, you know, we saw what we got. I don't think there was anything like super deep to analyze beyond that, but it was good. I enjoyed it. That was really cool. I liked the grenade that he threw and all that kind of stuff. It was very, very interesting. I'm really still looking forward to Soren like getting re-outfitted with Mjolnir. Oh, one more thing, speaking of Mjolnir, is they took away their Mjolnir and now they're sort of like, you know, what's his name? Ackerson took it away in a ship and evacuated Reach. So unless Master Chief is going to evacuate Reach, get his armor, and then go to the Alpha Halo, which might actually be the case because he has to link up. If Miranda Keyes ends up replacing Captain Keyes, she is the Captain Keyes of Combat Evolved, then that means that we're going to end up with, you know, Master Chief has to link up with her, and unless she comes to Reach to pick him up, which very well might be the case, then he may leave to go to her. Then he might get his armor back over there, or she might bring him back, you know, his armor from, you know, whatever. I'm wondering though if they didn't take away the armor. I was really looking forward to them like having, he told Vanek, go get us some kit, or I think him and Riz, he said go get us some kit, and then he went over to talk to, you know, Admiral Keyes right after they got back into the base, and I was waiting for him to come back and say all I could find is the old Mark V you know, Mjolnir armors that are down in the basement, half functional or something like that, and they were going to give us Mark V Master Chief in Halo 1 and then have him get his original, his like, you know, show original armor back in, you know, season, you know, whatever, 4, whenever it would be Halo 2, maybe season 5 if they go through a Halo First Strike kind of storyline. And I'm hoping that's still the case. My mind would be blown if they do that, but it's not, you know, it's still just a prediction that's probably not going to happen. Those little predictions like that I make don't tend to happen, but it is also Mjolnir, Mark V, and Master Chief, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they did just bring the Mark V into Halo Infinite, so like if there was a reason for all this to bring up hype for Mark V right before Master Chief gets it back in the show, it would make a lot of sense. I will say though, I really liked Captain Keyes' speech. That was fantastic. There's a lot of stuff like that I'm not even mentioning because it was just done so well. Everyone saw it. Everyone knows it was done well. This episode, I think, was getting almost a 10. It was like a 9 point something, a 9.3 or 9.5 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes for this one episode. So, like, that goes to show you. I've also seen lots of people say it's 10 out of 10, except for the Keyes death. That brings it down to a 1 out of 10. And then other people just saying 10 out of 10. So, like, you know, it's clearly a good episode. I don't need to go into detail. Oh, there was one thing though I did want to mention that I saw people talking about blowing up the bridge, and I don't think they were catching that was a reference to Halo ODST. There's literally at the start of the Oni Alpha Site mission, the first thing you do is there's that bridge, and there's a whole Covenant army coming across the bridge. They're sending multiple wraiths and a whole bunch of, you know, hunters and elites and stuff like that. And you get across the bridge, you go up onto a little watchtower, and there's a button that activates the bombs, you know, like at the very beginning, you're priming these explosives on the bridge, running back down the bridge. Then you get up on the tower, you activate it, and the whole bridge explodes, and you immediately get, like, you know, like 30 kills or something like that instantly. And then some more wraiths are still on the opposite side, and you can, like, they keep on firing at you, but you've got like Spartan lasers, you can blow them up. And that was kind of the vibe I got from that like that part whenever he was like, let as many of them onto the bridge as you can and then blow it, you know, was what Keyes told those Marines and you know, Master Chief. So that was what they were doing there, and they were referencing ODST, so that's pretty awesome. I like that. I am wondering though if any future characters might be born out of that that civilian evacuation ship that they got out of there with. Whenever they had that full ship, you know, filled up with all those civilians, any number of them could be Spartan 4s, could be future ODSTs, could be Spartan 3s. And actually, I am waiting for the Spartan 3s. Ackerson left to go, he said that the Spartans were going to be the, you know, a step along the way to the next step, basically, whenever he was talking to Halsey in the last episode. And I'm waiting for Ackerson to maybe come back with a small army of Spartan 3s. In which case we might get Noble Team. They may not have their deaths because they have already attributed their deaths to other people. But they might have, you know, the Noble Team or some Spartan 3s that might include, you know, quote unquote Noble Team is among them. If there's like 300 of them, like in the, you know, books, then they make them in batches of 300. If there's 300 of them, then, and they all get wiped out, we may not even know that Noble Team is in there. They might just be among the ranks, and they'll have just been presumed to have died in similar ways to the way that they did in the games, probably, or just as heroic. But the actual deaths, the visuals of the deaths they have already attributed, and like the meaning and the going out with you know, with Keyes going out on his own like Carter did, is, you know, that was already attributed to somebody else, you know. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to see what's happening next. I kind of hope that this is what I kind of hope, and this is like way out of left field, and I hope that this is happening because they seem to be implying the Spartan 3s and Ackerson trying to get it done right now. Unless they combine the Spartan 3s and the Spartan 4s, like I said previously, and that the Spartan 3s are going to be introduced around the time the Spartan 4s are introduced, then when are they going to introduce the Spartan 3s? Like, if it's going to be between now and then instead of combining them, if they are going to be separate, you know, programs, then what's going to happen, I think, is that we're going to end up with Spartan 3s on the Alpha Halo. The Master Chief is not just going to be there with Marines and ODSTs and, you know, and Captain Keyes and all that, that there's going to be Spartans there, which is going to make a really big deal if a Spartan gets infected by the Flood and Master Chief has to fight infected Spartans. It'd be huge. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's just a weird little side, like, guess, but I think Miranda Keyes is involved with the Spartan 3 program, because she's off at a hidden location. That would be a great way for her to redeem her mother's, you know, behavior for the bad version of the Spartan program with the Spartan 2s. Spartan 3s are supposedly not as bad, but then they're treated as cannon fodder, so they end up being just as bad. They're, you know, whatever. But the point is that, yeah, the whole thing is kind of, to me, set up as a domino effect leading to the Spartan 3s either being the Spartan 4s, like they're just going to combine the two, or the Spartan 3s are going to be introduced just as the end of this season or the start of next season, and there's going to be Spartan 3s on the Pillar of Autumn. Hopefully it's still called the Pillar of Autumn, because, I mean, they could go with the Forward Unto Dawn or the In Amber Clad. Both of those are amazing names, but I really like the Pillar of Autumn. It just feels right. You know what I mean? Anyway, the point is, I'm looking forward to more. It's going great. I'm liking this episode. There were a lot of things in it that, like, I didn't predict Admiral Keyes dying, and I kind of felt like it wasn't going to happen right up until the very moment that it happened, and I was waiting for the Jackal in the front to get shot in the head by, you know, Master Chief showing up in the room, and that's the only thing that I feel like I was felt like was not necessarily good. And then Mackie, I mean, it was good because they did it well. But I felt like it wasn't good because it wasn't like the original canon, which is just a gripe because this isn't the original canon. They already said that. And so if they do it well in this canon, it doesn't have to be like the original canon. So I accept that execution of that scene and the way that Captain Keyes died. Or Admiral Keyes died. I am questioning, though, is Mackie, they still continue to have her just stop the battle. She constantly is just like, the cold, you know, the cold shower, the wet blanket, like as soon as she comes into the room, she does something that just sort of ends the action that we were enjoying, that looked cool, that was progressing the storyline of what was actually happening on screen that we actually care about, in favor of her just ending that so that Master Chief could walk away alive. Last time I was saying that they're promising that she wasn't going to behave this way again in this season, that she was going to be written better, and in like episode 2 I was saying that, and she wasn't, and I'm disappointed now that she immediately says stop and he stops and he doesn't kill Master Chief. It's kind of lame. The only thing I can think of there is that if she had said, what she should have said is, stop, he is not wearing his armor, this is not your ultimate honor, it would not be as honorable to kill him now than to let him equip himself later. If she had actually explained herself and said something like that, it would have like hung a lantern on the whole like trope of let the demon live for a little longer for literally no reason, which is what we ended up getting, except for, you know, her emotional attachment potentially. We still don't really know if she's emotionally connected to Master Chief anymore. I think her getting killed and then revived probably is not. People are saying they think the engineers revived her, by the way. I don't know if they're going to have healed her with biology. I think they're going to have healed her with machinery. So yeah, the engineers will still be the ones who did it, but I'm looking forward to her being a prelate, having invisibility, having like energy blades in her fingertips, multiple of them, not just one in her fingertip, like freaking, maybe not Wolverine but the other Weapon X program, you know, that chick, I always forget her name, Lady Deathstrike. Wow, it popped in my head. Sick brain is helping, I guess. Anyway, once I get back to the streaming, I'll be all stream making my maps, but in the meantime, I'm just making them off stream. So my Halo maps that, you know, I got Waterworks in the matchmaking. Well, the next one that I'm really pushing to try and get in matchmaking is one called Overlook that I'm working on right now. I post about it on Twitter and stuff. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.